You have tuned back into the TheDnazChannel, where today we are getting into the great question that everybody ponders. Are we alone? Are we alone in this universe? Are there aliens here? Are they here now? Have they visited us in the past? Are they humans from the future? What is going on? What is all the sightings that we're seeing, right? Right. So let's get into it. So, first, I want to give the benefit of the doubt. I want to say, put it on the table right now, that I used to believe in aliens, and I loved it. I loved the idea. I mean, it's fun, it's exciting, and I want to. I'd love for there to be extraterrestrial life. I would love for there to be some cool creation story, or to know that we've been visited in the past, maybe we've been created, all these cool ideas that people are coming up with. I love getting into it. Trust me, I've dove into it. I've read about it a lot. I was a big believer. I was a huge believer. And something steered me back to non-believing, and I'm going to get into what that was. So, after going down many rabbit holes, many rabbit holes, about aliens, I think everybody basically started with either Fingerprints of the Gods, listening to Graham Hancock, or maybe Ancient Aliens, right? Everybody likes to watch Ancient Aliens. It was an intriguing show. I mean, you got the weirdo dude on there with the crazy hair, crazy like mine, You got all sorts of people with these crazy beliefs. But then I started getting into wow, they're just comparing every single little story, and it's starting to get too much. It's starting to not make sense anymore. Then you have all these people coming out the government releasing the photo of the footage of the Tic Tacs, and it seems like nothing was happening. I mean, this has been happening since the 50s, right? Since Roswell, since Bob Lazar, came out, right? And it seems as if there's always been, to me, some people like to say it's cover up, but I started to steer away from it being cover up, and now I am starting to steer more towards these are distractions, because I've never seen any of this stuff myself. Yes, I hear stories. I've heard plenty of stories. I've listened to other people's stories, but I have never myself seen anything. And it seems like more and more crazy stories keep coming out, but we do not actually have any physical evidence, right? The footages we find, they either end up being fake, or you can't prove that they're real, right? And it just seems that the rabbit hole keeps getting deeper and things keep getting crazier. And as intriguing as it is, right, there just hasn't been any solid evidence. Now, people like to go, well, what about the pyramids, right? What about all the megalithic structures? People love that word, megalithic structures, right? And I was sold on that idea too. You can't fit a piece of paper through the cracks that some of these stones are sitting between, right? So I was sold on that in the beginning too, until I started realizing and started reading more and more into how ancient civilizations worked. And I started realizing how smart they were. And this brings me to the Romans and to the Greeks, right? We have structures still standing today from Romans and Greeks. And this is more of a recent past. It's only going back like 1,000 years, not so far back. You could see this great technology, and you can see these great buildings and buildings in stone dating back more recently, right? And this to me shows that humans have had this type of technology and ability, right? Um, you have the Greeks who made the Antikythera, which is a stone computer that mapped the stars. You can look that up, right? So having technology in ancient civilization is nothing spectacular anymore. If you really do your research, instead of getting lost down the rabbit hole, if you really do your research, humans have been very smart for a long time. And the reason why the whole idea of aliens was so popular is because in the beginning, we were all sold on the idea that civilization was only a few thousand years old because that's what we were told in school, right? But now, today, we have proven that civilization is older than we thought. We have proven that the people of antiquity were not just hunters and gatherers, right? They weren't just throwing sticks and stones at each other. They weren't unsophisticated. They were actually very advanced and very civilized, right? And once you realize that, you start to realize that humans have always been the top of the food chain. We have always been very smart. And we do not have any clue how many times human civilization has been reset. We don't have any clue how much knowledge has been passed down through over time, right? All we have is our recent recorded history. All we have is the past couple thousand years of written language. That's all we have documented, right? Because we go by what we have documented. We go by the writing we have. We judge civilization by when language was invented, or I wouldn't say invented, the earliest proof of invented language, which goes back to maybe the Sumerians, right? The first language written in stone, first stories written, like you know, um, like the Epic of Gilgamesh, right? So once you start realizing that humans are very smart, then you can go and read more into what we have accomplished and be amazed by what we have accomplished. You can go back just to the as recent as the Romans and look how amazing they built their structures, right? With way simpler tools and construction that we have today. They didn't have machines like we have today, right? They had their own type of technologies. They had pulley systems, they worked a lot with stone and wood, right? We don't work. And then when people say, oh, we can't do that today, we barely work with stone anymore today. People back then, they lived in stone houses, they lived in stone castles. You're right, they built out of stone back then. We don't build out of stone anymore. So for us to say that we don't have the technology today to do this in stone, it's because we don't even really build in stone anymore. And if you want to make the argument that these stones are so heavy we don't know how to move them, that is what I started to get into. That is what I started to read into. Like, okay, if that's the argument, then what is it that people have a hard time believing? What is it that we've done that is so crazy, or what was done that makes it seem like there was something so advanced that it wasn't us, right? And it is the stones. It is the weight of the stones and how perfectly built it is, right? The dimensions of it. That's what impresses us. But when you realize how much our ancestors were working with stone, then you realize that we have had this technology and we have had this level of consciousness for a long time, right? So then I started reading more and I realized that they figured out how to pour stone a long time ago. They figured out how to pour stone. That means melting stone down and pouring it into place, right? And then once you see, oh my God, you can pour stone just like we pour concrete today. You crush stone into dust, right? Just like concrete, you're adding water and it solidifies, right? And they did it with all different types of stone, right? So once you realize that pouring stone is a much, much simpler way for them to have been moving these stones and then to have been building these structures, then you realize, oh my God, they weren't just moving, you know, these crazy heavy stones from one place all the way to another, and we God knows how, like they were levitated. We weren't doing that, right? We were taking crushed stone, they were pouring stone. And once you realize that they were pouring stone, then you can realize that these structures were a lot easier to build, right? It makes way more sense that these structures are here, right? And to me, that erases this whole thing that we have aliens around. So that's the reason why I'm making this video, because I kind of want to get everybody's head out of the sand and out of their head out of their ass, their head out of the sand, unbury their head and start realizing that humans are the profound people here. We are the gods. We are the creators, right? Nothing else on this planet, no other creature is creating the way that we are creating. We are the creators and we always have been, right? And like the reason why I say we are the gods, like even if you look back to the Romans and Greeks, they were using, after animalism, after they started using animals as their gods, they were using gods in human image, right? Because we realize we are the ultimate, right? We are the creators here. And we have the power to do amazing things. I mean, just look back in antiquity. Look at when ships were first being built. How intricate those giant ships were that were sailing across the ocean back in the day, right? No motors, just sails, these giant, beautiful naval ships. Those are very intricate and very hard to build. Very, very hard to build. Those are just as impressive as any of the stone structures, right? And this is why I want to bring this to your guys' attention, because I want to bring us back down to earth. I want to get us away from a place where we can't even see, from space, different planets, things that we can't even touch and see in a fantasy world. And I want to bring us back down to earth, center us here in earth, because this is the place of ultimate beauty. Earth is the most beautiful place in the world. There is no place like Earth. There never will be. That is why humans are made here. That is why we are the ultimate life form here, because we are so unique and we are so beautiful. And when you start thinking that way and realizing that way, you realize that it has been us this whole time. So the only other thing I want to touch into is that the other possibility I would like to consider is that if there were this crazy technology, because there are a lot of people coming out and people are saying that they're seeing these things flying around the sky. I don't want to sit here and say that they're not seeing what they're really seeing, you know? Who am I to say that just because I haven't seen it? The only other thing I can go with is that it is humans from the future. That is something that I can get along with. That is something I can see, right? But I would not go as far to say that it is extraterrestrial life, because I think that humans are the most profound life form created. I think we are the creators and we are the gods. That is how I feel. And I just want to get our head out of the sand and realize that it has always been us. It has always been us, and it always will be, right? So I would love for somebody to prove me wrong. I would love for somebody to show me some solid evidence, right? But even the government, they come out and they gave us this little Tic Tac video. And what has happened since then? Nothing. We were told that there was going to be this big disclosure. Oh, it's coming. It's coming. How long is it coming for? How many years are we going to wait? Because it's been coming since a long time, since the 40s and 50s. It's been coming, and it still hasn't happened. We still don't have solid proof. So to me, this seems like a big distraction for everybody to jump on this bandwagon and be more and more distracted and get further away from the truth that we are the great. We are the greatest here. We are the creators. We are the ones that we should be worshiping, or we should be worshiping ourselves, because we are the beautiful and we are the true. And that I am going to leave you guys with here on the DNaz channel, pondering and pondering again. Come back for more.